Hello guys, welcome back to SWS Boxing, and today I am predicting the Jack Catterall Jorge Linares fight, plus the undercard as well. And it's a stacked undercard. And first on the card, we've got William Crolla, who is 1-0, and he takes on Martin the Daddy Shaw. Of course, William Crolla 1-0, and he beat Joe Hardy in a 4-rounder, even though arguably Joe Hardy, of course, we've had him on the channel. Arguably Joe Hardy had a draw. In my opinion, he could have had a draw that night. But yeah, overall, Crolla looked decent, but I think the draw with the knockdown, and I thought Joe probably nicked the first, and of course he had the third, so I reckon a draw would have been fair, but can't argue with Crolla win. He looked all right. Of course, Martin Shaw 4-6. No, 4-6, 4-16 with three draws and one knockout win. Of course, he has been stopped. Like, we know Martin Shaw can get hurt. He's been stopped 7 times. Last time out, beating Roger Donovan, who's a debutant. So he is coming off a win over a debutant. Of course, Rosser didn't look the best, looked a bit nervous, didn't really get going, but Shaw did what he needed to do. Wasn't the cleanest to fight, wasn't the prettiest to fight, but Shaw got the job done, and he won 40-36. When you're in the away corner, when that's the scorecard, you know that reflects the fight. Of course, he has been stopped by Ollie Cassidy, Bradley Goldsmith, Ben Croker. He's also been in there with James McCarthy, Tom Cowley, Tom Brennan, who he nicked a draw against, Sam O'Mason, Mitch Frierson, Tom Brennan, Joe Hughes. But yeah, he will. This is his first opportunity on a matchroom bill for Martin Shaw. I think he will go for it. I think William Crolla will be too much for him, but I'm saying William Crolla 40-36 won't reflect Martin's trying to come and put it on him. But if I'm completely honest, Martin won't win this. William Crolla is going to win 40-36. Then we've got Muhammad Mustafa Ali, who's 3-0 v 2-0 Gali Cremoso, 6 rounds in the super bantamweight. Of course, we've got Muhammad Mustafa Ali 3-0 with 1 KO. And last time out, with that knockout win over Francisco Rodriguez, who we know is tough as they come. Of course, it was on the Tommy Frank Galao Yafai undercard. It's also got the better of Brian Castro and Sean Jackson. Of course, on the other hand, I don't know much about this Italian, but he is 2-0. Coming off 2 unanimous decision wins against 2 other journeymen. Last time out in June. So both being, you know what I mean, but it's a good fight. I don't know what to expect from the Italian, but we know Mustafa Ali is quick. He can box very well. He is slick, and I am expecting a Muhammad Mustafa Ali win. As his opponents come into fight, he could potentially get forced the stoppage. Of course, he does train with David Caldwell in that gym and stuff. So David don't train the fighter who's not good. So it's good for Muhammad. I reckon Muhammad will catch him in round 4. I reckon it'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight, that one. But I reckon Muhammad Mustafa Ali will win in round number 4. It won't be a knockout. I don't think he'll go down. I think it'll be a TKO. And then we've got Paddy Lacey, Owen Kirk over 8 rounds in the middleweight division. Of course, Paddy Lacey is 9-0 with that one knockout. Let's just say he's beaten Sachisco Jamaki, Vasid Mamadov, Josh Cook, Jake Bray. The person he stopped was Ryan Broughton, round 1 knockout. Seamus Devine. Of course, he beat James McCarthy on the matchroom bill, which was a full-out dogfight. It was none of them took a back foot. I think it was 60-54, but it don't reflect how close the fight was and how good the fight was, because Jay McCarthy was always swinging away. I think it's harsh that they didn't give Jay McCarthy a round, but yeah, I had 59-55 that night to Lacey. And then Valencia he beat as well in September. With Owen Kirk, he's 3 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws. Of course, he has beaten Josh Hodgins, Danny Little. Then he did suffer that 1 defeat to Jake Bray, which he broke his hand in that, as we know. But other than that, he said he still thought he nicked it, 39. Then he beat Josh Cook, convincing performance. Then he jumped straight back in with the rematch against Jake Bray, which, of course, a bit of a hometown decision to Jake Bray, as 58-58 was. Even Owen said that he lost those first 2 rounds. I agree. He did lose those first 2 rounds, but I think he did enough in those last 4 rounds to nick it, but you couldn't have argued with the draw. And then against Reed, he could have fought a journeyman, could have had a few warm-up fights, but no, he didn't. He went straight back in a great fight against Reese Woods. Again, I said it yesterday to him, wasn't the cleanest fight, wasn't the prettiest of fight, a bit of a scrappy fight. Reese Woods and Owen Kirk, a draw was fair. You couldn't have argued if Woods edged it or Kirk edged it. But, he's not, of course, he's drew his last 2. He could always go for another warm-up, but he said he wants to fight the best. He needs to fight the best to be the best. And, of course, Paddy Lacey, they're saying Central Area title. So if Kirk does get this upset win, I don't think it is an upset, but on the odds, and Matchroom would say it's an upset. Owen Kirk is strong. Last time out, he went for the stoppage. I think he'll be more calm this time. I think it potentially could end in a knockout if they're both just, full out, just pacing at each other. It's going to be an interesting fight. I reckon it could get a late, either like a late stoppage, 6-7, or it could go to decision. I reckon it will go to points. I reckon Kirk might nick it by a point. But yes, Owen Kirk by a point. It won't surprise me if it's draw, but I'm saying Owen Kirk by 1 point. Should be a good fight, that one. Then we've got 8 rounds in the super lightweight division. We've got Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton, of course, 13-0, against Jamie Sampson, who's 9-2, and it's an 8-round fight. Of course, Campbell Hatton with those five knockouts, I do believe, he's beaten Jesus Ruiz, Levi Dunn, Jacob Lewowski, Sonny Martinez on the AJ card, which most people thought he lost, and so did I. Then he stopped this guy, Alfie Kutela, and then he stopped Joe Ducker, who's actually a decent name he's beaten. Then he took a step down, then a step up, then Motti, and then he fought Michael Gohin, then Louis Fielding, who he stopped in the first round, which not many people do that to Louis Fielding, and the former 3-time Midlands challenger, so decent opponent. Then, in my opinion, stepped down to Michael Bulek. Then Tom Ansell, he's kind of stepping up, then stepping down, and stepping up and stepping down. I don't know what's really happening with Campbell Hatton. But with Jamie, of course, yeah, Tom Ansell was a test for Hatton. Tom went through it. Tom pushed him back. I thought it was, what was the scorecard again? It was, let me have a look, 78-74. I thought, yeah, why not? That, or maybe 77-74. But 78-74, you couldn't have argued. I think, yeah, that's fair. The scorecard was there. Then we had Jamie, of course, 9-2. But he went on. And then when he fought, he came after 2014 was 8 years ago. He hadn't fought since 8 years. Then they chuck him in with the Conor Gray. with Conor Gray. Conor Gray beat him, of course, 58-56, which was a close fight. Of course, Jamie 41, Conor Gray 41. I thought 58-56 to Conor Gray was fair, but you couldn't. Yeah, I thought Conor Gray just did about enough to win. But with Hatton, you see these people calling him out. There's a whole long list of people I've interviewed, or spoke to. Conor Gray, Ishmael Ellis, DJ Tollerton, Danny Willie. No, not Danny. I don't know. Dylan Norman. Just a long. And then you've got the person Azim Lofty and people like that, all waiting in line, and Cash Johnson as well, waiting in line for Hatton. Whether Conor Gray, whether Jamie beat Conor Gray, would he have took the fight? Probably not. Because the same with Tom Ansell. If Tom Ansell beat Aaron Prosper, would he have took the fight? Probably not. He just picks. I think what Campbell Hatton does and what Matchroom do with his opponents, that they pick them at the right time. So they've got winning records, but they pit them like Tom Ansell, for example, was coming off 3 defeats. Then you had Louis coming off 2 defeats. So they are smart, Matchroom, with their opponents. They do for Hatton. They're coming off a defeat, 2 defeats, 3 defeats. But yeah, I can't see a way how Jamie Sampson beats Hatton. I think Hatton should get him out there 4-5. If he doesn't, not looking good. Of course, he's got that weight on his shoulder. Of course, his dad was a big puncher, and people do expect a lot, especially when your dad was really good. I reckon Hatton will win. Surely TKO 4-5. If not, then I don't really know what to say, but Hatton should get him out there 4-5, in my opinion. Then we've got Khalid Majid, 11-0, Tom Bazza Farrell, who's 21-7. Of course, Khalid Majid, 11-0 with 3 knockouts. Last time out beating Fisula on the Yafai card. Again, he's all right. He's a decent fighter, Khalid Majid. Of course, he is being promoted by Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. But this is his first real test. And of course, Tom Farrell, even though he's got those 21 wins, he's got those 7 defeats, but he's got 5 knockouts. And yes, even though he has the 21 wins, only 5 knockouts, suggests he's not a big puncher. But it's the first time that Khalid Majid really will get his chin tested. Of course, Tom Farrell, of course, they're trying to do that with Majid opponent now. So Tom Farrell's a good name. But with the sort of Hatton, they're picking them when they're coming off 2 defeats or, a defeat or such. And that's what they're doing with Tom Farrell. Of course, he lost to Harlem Eubank and Henry Turner, or his 2 defeats in a row. He rocked Harlem Eubank, though. And saying that Harlem's going for a European, yes, other than that, Harlem looked comfortable, but he rocked Harlem and he nearly had him out, yeah? And against Henry, wasn't his best performance, but had little success. He didn't want to quit, but his corner pulled him out, which I think was the right call, so he lived to fight another day. But he beat Ben Fields, Corey Gibbs, Chisang, Coffee Yates. He's fought on these big stages before. He's been on TNT. He's been fighting for these WBCs, the English, the Sky. He's fought on platforms, and he's boxed Goodison Park, Echo Arena. Before he knows what it's like to fight on TV, and I do believe it's Khalid Majid's first 8-rounder. If I'm honest, don't be surprised if Tom catches him, because it's the first time Majid's chin will get tested, and see how that holds up. So when Tom lands the first meaningful punch, that the first 2-3 rounds is when the first 2 rounds you're going to find out what way it's going to go, I reckon. It could go down, it could go to points, as Majid's quite slick. I reckon Tom will try and get it out the judges' hands. Again, it is his hometown, but he's against the matchroom fighter, which of course don't always go your way. I'm saying Tom Farrell. Honestly, I think Tom potentially can knock him out or points. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to go with a Tom Farrell win. Yeah, Tom Farrell for the win. Then we've got arguably the fight I'm most looking forward to on tonight's card. We've got Akim Diaz, 12-0, Reese Bomber Bellotti. Of course, Diaz is for the Commonwealth title as well. And coming off the 2 good wins against Dean George and Costa Einoune. Of course, Akeem is slick. He trains with Catterall and such. Jamie Moore, Catterall, he's in that gym. He's all right. Like, he's looking good. He's slick, very slick. Of course, he beat Ken Baker as well. So he's got those decent names. I think, but this is when you're fighting someone who's been there, done it, suffered those setbacks, bounces back from those setbacks. And of course, Bellotti's a big hitter. Of course, 16 wins, 5 defeats with 13 knockouts. Of course, last time out beating, he's on a bit of a roll against Dean Dodge. He knocked out in the 7th round. And Yusuf Kamari, which he beat on unanimous decision, which fair play to him. Not many people thought he would beat Kamari, but Bellotti looked good, and at times he had Kamari go in. He boxed well. Of course, lost to Raymond Ford, Jordan Gill, the Grandanella, but 3 defeats, bounced back, and he knows how to bounce back and goes again. He's also beat Cunningham. It's literally the last big roll of the dice for Reese Bomber Bellotti. If he doesn't win, I reckon he might call it a day. But does Fiaz need a strong start? Or does Bellotti need a quick start? Because if Fiaz gets in his rhythm, potentially that could play into Fiaz's hands. I don't know who really does need the faster start out of these 2. I can see it going either way, but if there's a knockout, of course it will come from Reese Bellotti, or Fiaz on points. Bellotti could win on points, but I think more likely Bellotti on knockout, TKO, whatever, and then Fiaz point. I think it'll be a bit nip and tuck first few rounds, and then when Fiaz gets to those late rounds, when I mean like the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, that's when Bellotti, the 9th, the 8th, or like the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th, that's when Bellotti will start to come on strong and take Fiaz to deep waters where he has never been before. Bellotti's been in the trenches. He knows what it feels like to be in the trenches. And I think, based on what I've been saying, I am saying Reese Bomber Bellotti to win. Whether that's stoppage or points, I'm saying stoppage for Reese Bellotti. Yes, I'm saying 9, 10, the 11th, those sort of rounds. Or the 12th, who knows? I think it'll be 9, 10, 11, or 12, I reckon, for Reese Bellotti. But if I have to single a round, I'm going to say round 10 to Reese Bomber Bellotti by TKO. Then we've got... who've we got next? Oh, we've got Jack Turner, who's 2-0 with 2 knockouts against Adam Yahya. Of course, Jack Turner 2-0, 2 knockouts, looking strong. Of course, he's fought in Dubai. This is the first time he's really on a meaningful platform, and they've put him quite high up. So I think Matchroom do expect big things from him. He is strong. He hits hard. But Yahya's 23-10 with 2 draws. Of course, last time losing to, I think last time he lost was Alfie Clegg. But he was coming off 2 good knockout wins going into the Alfie Clegg fight. Of course, Alfie put him down twice. But yeah, he is a bit wild. He swings quite a bit. I think Jack, how many rounds is it? 4. Jack potentially could catch him. He's strong. He's fit. He's strong. Yeah. He's got good cardio. He is very good. Could he catch Yahya? Potentially. What I've seen of Adam Yahya, bit wild, swings a lot, and he does leave openings, especially he is a bit square. He's a bit square on. I think maybe the uppercut could work for Jack. I think that could be a money shot. But I am saying a Jack Turner win. Yeah, I'm saying a Jack Turner win. Then we've got Peter McGraw, 7-0 v Fran Mendoza. It's 10 rounds in the super bantamweight. Peter McGraw 7-0 with 5 KOs, of course. Matchroom are promoting this guy very highly. They expect big things from him. But Fran Mendoza, the Colombian, number 1 in his country, even though, doesn't, you know what I mean. But if I have to pick a winner, I'm saying Peter McGraw. Referee gets him out of there. I don't know. I'm saying Peter McGraw on point. Peter McGraw unanimous decision. And yes. Moving on to our main event of the evening. We've got Jack El Gato Catterall for the WBA Intercontinental Super Lightweight World Title. Jack Catterall, 27-1 with Jorge Linares, 47-8. Jack Catterall, of course, 27-1 with those 30 knockouts. Of course, last time out, beating Darragh Foley on unanimous decision, which he just boxed the right fight. He boxed clean, and that's what he needed to do. Of course, then he also has suffered that one defeat, which shouldn't have been a defeat, as we all know, as Catterall was blatantly robbed that night against Taylor. He boxed Taylor's fight. He went to the Lion's Den and he beat Taylor and box rings round him. Even more than box rings round him. Just dominated throughout the fight. Also beating good wins over O'Hara Davis and Tyrone McKenna, Tyrone Nurse, Joe Hughes. Are his main wins. Oh, and Darragh Foley. Of course, Jorge Linares, 47-8 with those 29 knockouts. He is a big hitter, is Linares. Even though he is coming off 3 defeats, you would say it's not looking good. It's not. Is he past it? He might be past it. He might have got old. But one thing you never lose when you age. We've seen it, Kiko Martinez, Galahad, that's just one example I can think on the top of my head. You don't lose that power. Of course, only lost to, yeah. And he does upset the Brits as well. Don't forget that he is a bit of a bogey fighter for the Brits. Because, of course, he beat Anthony Crolla not once, but twice. First fight was close, but then he rematched Crolla and wiped the floor with Crolla in the rematch. Then he beat Luke Campbell on a split decision. And he beat Kevin Mitchell as well. So he knows what it's like going to these Brits. And he does like beating the Brits. Jorge Linares. When I first saw the fight get announced, I was like, yeah, Catterall's going to wipe the floor with him. He's finished. He's done. Trust me, Linares is not done. And if anyone's ruling out Linares and says he don't stand a chance, you're lying, because he has power. He's hurt. He's beaten these Brits before. He's a bogey fighter for the Brits. Even though he's suffered those 8 defeats, he's suffered them. Coming off 3 defeats, I understand how some people would say he doesn't deserve it, especially coming off 3 defeats, which is questionable. But he never loses power. So Jack Catterall needs to be alert throughout the fight. He can be 10 rounds up, 7 rounds up to the goods. And Linares could just hit him, yeah. He does carry the power in the fight. Linares has more power than Jack Catterall. I guess we'll see what happens later on. I think Jack will just need to box smart. Just don't engage. Don't get silly with it. Just keep the shots long. Stay on the back foot and just, box smart. I think Catterall will start off 6 rounds to the good. Then Jorge Linares will start to get his combos off. Panic. I think Catterall, and then I reckon it'll be all right. I reckon Catterall will come through with the win. On unanimous decision, I reckon Linares will have 2 to 3 strong rounds, but it will be all right. Because even though I'm predicting a Jack Catterall unanimous decision, I'm not going to be surprised if Jorge Linares knocks him out. But yes, I am saying Jack Catterall unanimous decision. Let me know what you think, and a great night of boxing in Liverpool. Right.